Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a live stream. It's been a while since I last did one of these. It's been over a year, actually. I thought it would be a little exciting. Hang on, let me get... There we go. I'm nearly forgetting how to do this. I thought it would be a bit of fun to do a live stream because I've been talking about meaning to do sort of add-on videos, sort of discussing the thing of the week, as it were, and I haven't done it. Didn't do it. Promised it about 2 months ago, I think it was. I talked to my patrons about it, and I initially decided to call it Plus, and then nothing happened with it, and everyone was like, "What happened there? Where did that go?" So here it is, sort of. Now then, I don't have my normal microphone set up, so I'm having to kind of like uhura it up a bit and use like a Bluetooth one. It's got an inbuilt microphone. I don't know what the sound quality on this is. It might be terrible. So yeah, things have changed in the last year. But part of the reason for doing this, like even if nobody like comes along to the actual live itself, is more to sort of do a recording. Because I haven't done these. I haven't done them in a good long while, so I thought it would be good to actually get that done. So I'm going to share some thoughts today about the Lindores exclusive cask, the Whisky Barrel one. And this is going to be more kind of going into the, I mean, you can see on the screen already because I've shared the thing. It took me a while to figure out how to do everything again. And the platform that I'm using, they've added some like nice new bells and whistles, which is exciting, which I'm not going to be toying around with today because I'm scared of breaking things. But that might be something to fuck about with later. I said I wouldn't swear on a live, but bollocks to it, I've done it now. Oh, I've got a comment. Hang on. How do I do this again? I show. There we go. Hey. Hello. How are we doing? I am doing well. It's about 9 o'clock in the evening here in the old UK land. We've had an interesting old day, but we won't go there. We won't go into political stuff just now, although it's been hilarious. Yeah, whiskey. So I've actually got a wee bit in the glass here. Again, this is coming from a sample, because we'll kind of get into the price of this a little bit later on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of this. I don't know if you can see me moving the mouse about, maybe? I don't know, because I have to like change tabs in order to do that. Anyway, so this is the Lindores exclusive cask, and it's got a fetching purple label. I would imagine they chose that because, again, just the color of this thing is absolutely beautiful. It's, what would you call that? Midnight ruby, if you were coming up with a Dulux color for that. 58.9% now. Then I have to correct myself from the video that got released today of this. On the bottle itself, I don't want to throw the sample guys under the bus with this one, but it says 58.8. It's 0.01%. Like, you know, it's not gonna kill us, you know, that difference. But there's bound to be someone that's going to spot it. So it's 58.9%. There we go. So I'm basically going to read off the blog and then kind of give you some sort of ancillary thoughts on this. I'm just going to check if anything else has come through. Oh, yes. More of these comments. Hello, Thomas. And talk me into searching it out. I have been told previously that I am a bad influence, so you're welcome, I suppose. It's what everyone needs in these trying financial times. So this is from the Whisky Barrel blog. Just in case you need to catch up as well, I mean, it talks about it here, but we're absolutely delighted to release our first exclusive distillery whiskey celebrating our 15th anniversary. Now, stop right there. Obviously, the go-to thing for a lot of celebrants is, you know, oh, it's my 30th birthday, I'm going to drink a 30-year-old whiskey. Oh, you know, it's our 10th anniversary, we're going to seek out an interesting 10-year-old. They've not done that. They've been a little more original, I suppose, for want of a better way of putting it. And they've gone with a whiskey that clearly cannot be 15 years old because they've not been producing for that long. So it's about 3.5 years. 3 years, you have to round down. You can't have 3 years and 6 months as an age. It's a shame, I suppose, really, but I get why it has to be a whole number or none at all. Which does make you wonder, if you bottle something at 3 years and 11 months, Anyway, not relevant. And they go on to say, what better way than to support our very local distillery, Lindores Abbey, located just 10 miles from the Whisky Barrel HQ. The historic Lindores Abbey distillery in our Kingdom of Fife is a distillery that we have watched being built right through to the release of their first single malt whiskey in 2021. But I do have a bottle of it out of arm's reach. That was clever, wasn't it? Yeah. Moving on. We're thrilled to have this exclusive single sherry cask bottling available, and what a whiskey it is. Lindores Abbey 2018, TWB 15th Anniversary Cask 585. And there's some more images here. A monster sherry cask, which, again, colour on that. I mean, maybe not picking that up too well, but again, 3 years old. That's truly incredible. So I think monster is a deserved name for this. But they're actually going to, so going into sort of the cask itself, straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, Lindores is a young distillery, so the whiskey is only 3 years old. This cask was filled 2nd of August 2018, a single Oloroso sherry butt, 585, matured on site at the distillery. The cask was emptied and bottled on the 14th February 2022. At the ABV previously stated, yielding 720 bottles. So not a bastard outrun by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you know, if you fill a venue with 720 people, then, you know, that's a good turnout. But 720 bottles of whiskey, not the biggest when you consider, you know, things like, I don't know, your Klein leashes and stuff, you know, massive outruns. Each bottle individually hand-numbered. Thank you, Jane, who I assume is this woman sort of peeking out just here. And as is the Lindores way, this whiskey is not chill-filtered and is natural colour. Yes, natural colour. And what a colour it is. We had this discussion in the video. If you haven't watched it, by the way, this isn't a promo run or anything, but you should do that. It's fun. They have some great connections to Spanish bodegas, so quality casks is a high priority for the distillery team, and it has worked absolute wonders here. Being a sherry nerd, I know, shock. I would love it if more distilleries were open about the bodegas they source their casks from. I understand why that's not a thing that really happens. It'd be a nice touch. Just would, you know. I'd like to see it, but I get it. You know, it's more about sort of seasoning and stuff like that. I get why there's why distilleries tend not to do that. But it would be nice. So I'm assuming this lady here is Jane, and she is individually numbering the bottles, I believe. I believe that is what we are seeing just there. And it goes into a little bit about the tastings. I'm just going to pop back over, just kind of see how we're cracking on. Damn right, you're a bad influence. Bought a hate club. Fuck, not another one. Sorry, my bad. Back to the blog. We do love a sherry cask here at TWB. Most importantly, we selected this specific cask because even with the big sherry influence, the Lindores spirit DNA very much shines through. If you've tasted the Lindores core release whiskey or the bourbon cask, which I haven't had the opportunity to yet, although there are a few places quite near where I work actually that do have bottles on the shelf, so I could get my hands on some, to be fair. You'll be familiar with the characteristic spices and fresh orchid fruit notes. These remain very present throughout the whiskey with the classic sherry influences. And then it's giving us some tasting notes. Stewed plums, chocolate, ganache cake, baked apples, butter shortbread, cinnamon, and ginger spices. Sweet and oily sherry to taste, dark chocolate, roasted coffee beans, buttercream icing, and stewed fruits. And the finish, pineapple rings, burnt toast, figs, long, sweet, and oily. Interesting finishing notes, actually, there. I tend not to go too near finishing notes, to be fair. Maybe I just have a poor palate, which is entirely possible, let's face it. But yeah, I tend not to talk about them too much. I've noticed that myself. Supporting local. Throughout the year, celebrating our 15th anniversary, just in case they hadn't mentioned it before, we will have a number of TWB exclusive releases running along our TWB portfolio anniversary bottlings. We're absolutely delighted that this Lindores exclusive sherry cask, which is the darkest release of them all so far, marks it. They've got darker? That's terrifying. It's genuinely terrifying. Marks the first of our exclusive collaborations this year. Our huge thanks to the team at Lindores for getting this in place for us and for letting us bother them for visits and photographs on site. They're a lovely bunch, Lindores. The Cask custodian used to work at Whisky Barrel in Edinburgh. One of the wonderful things about Whisky Barrel in Edinburgh is that a lot of people kind of go on to bigger and better things. As with most whiskey jobs, actually, in the capital, they sort of get poached sooner or later. Yeah, so I've been in touch with him about a quarter project for the time being. But yeah, sneak peek. I'm curious actually about these anniversary bottlings. I'm going to click on there. And oh, we've got a Glasgow 4-year-old, 15th anniversary, an Annandale, and a Glen Murray, a 30-year-old. It's 350. My word, that's quite something. Let's have a quick gander, because obviously when I released the video, yeah, here we are. There it is. It is still available. £8 is a tickle steep, but I might be persuaded. It is a you sexy bastard. Oh, it's such a good bloody whiskey. They chose very well. They chose very bloody well. It's and that's it. Beautifully chocolatey, and yeah, actually, I do get the shortbread influence coming off of that. It's just gorgeous. The reason I'm maybe not looking to add a bottle to my collection is there's going to be. I'm going to say I'm going to release it this week as a bonus video because that way I'll actually bloody do it. Because sometimes I need force to do things. I've got work this week as well, so you know I have it where I get home and I'm just like I don't want to move, and that's completely fine. But I've already had this month's release, and I teach anyone who was on. Was it this week's or last week's? I think it was. This week just gone's, so last week's, Aquavite Lime Stream, the V-Pub, talked about this briefly. I was lucky enough to get my hands on a bottle of this. This is the Glasgow Tequila Cask finish. I mentioned this in the Loch Lee video as well, didn't I? I mentioned that it had been sold out. There was a secondary allocation at Drinksmonger in Edinburgh, and I managed to get my hands on some. I've got to say, so far, holy shit, it's lovely. It's, it's fantastic. Also, I'm just going to talk about this briefly as well. I don't know if I have talked about this already, but like, the bottle is not the shape I thought it was. It's once I got this that I realized I don't think I've ever held one of these bottles before, because it's not round, it's ovoid. Maybe tell better from the bottom actually. It's not a perfect. I just always assumed it was a perfectly round bottle because it looks like it should be, but it's not. It's not that important really, is it? But yeah, that took me for one. This is a gorgeous whiskey so far. I'm looking forward to reviewing it. It also does mean, actually, because I have a full bottle, which is a rarity. The last full bottle I got, and again, this one may be a spoiler, because have I talked about this yet? I went to Tom and Towel a couple of months ago. Beautiful area. It's for work. I will quickly say that. It's for work. We're doing a little project where we're filming around some distilleries at the minute. And I had a day to turn this around. So we went from Edinburgh to Tom and Towel and then back again in a day. None of us drove. We had to get the train. So it was 5 hours there. We spent 3 hours at the distillery, filmed everything, and then we had to get the last train back out to Edinburgh, another 5 hours. What we did could be described as insanity. And having looked back at it, I was just like, that's a story. That's a story in and of itself, and I look forward to telling it. Cody, who is another one of these wonderful people who've been poached from the whiskey community out of Edinburgh and been put into jobs that they are flourishing in, was kind enough to get us at the train station, drive us to the Sill, and drive us back to the train station. And he did also offer to drive us to Edinburgh in case we did miss our train, because it was touch and go. But it was also nice enough to gift me with this, the Tom and Tal 15. It's their limited edition 2006 port cask. I don't want to spoil that one just yet, because that will be coming out in a couple of months. And the reason I say a couple of months is the reason I'm also getting ahead of things this month, because I've set myself too much work. I don't want to tease too much about that, just in case I bugger it up. But yeah, excited, nervous, excited. Back to the whiskey. It's like a chocolate croissant in booze form. It's a dangerous liquid. For how young it is and how strong it is, it's not immediately obvious. Either that or I have a drinking problem. It's entirely possible I have a YouTube channel about drinking whiskey and other spirits. Like, it's almost a given, really, at this point, isn't it, that I maybe have a bit of an issue. But it's not an issue. It's just a, don't say habit. That's not. It's a hobby. It's a pastime. It's something to get me through the day. That just sounds bad again. Oh, sorry, I've missed a comment here. The fact you related it in scoring terms to an editor, a favourite distillery, perked me up a bit. Great notes too. Yes, went on a bit of a rant about that whole kind of scoring debacle. I stand by what I say about that one. That Edgedow Cask 79, if I ever come across one again, I'm just buying a bottle, because it really was just fantastic. It honestly was. Closing thoughts on this one. I'm really glad that such a young distillery is being used as a celebrant, basically. You know, when you go down these kind of like, you know, big anniversary sort of things, you could, of course, you know, bottle anything. You know, there's much more obvious candidates, I suppose, for want of a better way of putting it. But that's not what they've done here, and I applaud that. And obviously, I was very happy with the whiskey. Again, if everyone's watched the video. I will quickly say as well, because I did mention about getting ahead this month. I've recorded this entire month's videos in a one. I will be releasing 2 more. The Glasgow is one, and the other is going to be a Blatnick. I don't think I need to hide that fact, because of course, you know, I think the second that I said that I was doing a month on Lowlands, people were like, there's going to be a Blatnick here somewhere. Of course, there's going to be a bloody Blatnick. But it's quite an exciting Blatnick, and it's probably going to be towards the end of the month. Oh, mercy me. What's that? Greeting from, goodness me. Hello from Austria. Lovely of you to join us. Awkwardly, I was going to wrap up in the next few minutes, but yeah, back to this. The reason why I'm getting ahead this month is twofold, actually. I wanted to sort of get it out of the way. Not get it out of the way, that sounds not quite right, but I want to get ahead for the next few months, because I've got an idea for some things that I want to do during October, because I love October. It's Halloween month. What's not to love? Pumpkin spice is already out in Starbucks, so you know I've had my fix today. Shan't be having another, because good God, they're expensive. Holy hell! And you can't just make this here yourself. It's a lot cheaper, more cost effective, so I'll be doing that. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so I wanted to basically get ahead, basically. And there's also a big anniversary coming up in December as well. It's going to be 5 years that I've been doing this, and I started doing this, I shit you not, on Christmas Eve 2017. Why I decided to do Christmas Eve, actually no, I do know, because the first video I released was how to infuse gin, and it was bit of a mad cat video, that one, really. It was how to make your own pink pepper and vanilla gin using like Bombay Sapphire, because I was making gifts that year. That's what I was doing. Hello. Better late than party. All good with whiskey. Better late than never. Hello, Liz. Welcome to this. I didn't announce this, I should quickly say as well. I just sort of spontaneously did it, because I mean it's in character, isn't it, if nothing else. But what was I saying? Yeah. So one of the wonderful advantages of having boxed everything off is that it's all there. So I've given like patrons and channel members like an advance basically, so they have access to all 4 of the current videos, and I'll give them like a bit of a heads up on the other ones as well, because I've been a little light on perks at the moment with like Patreon and stuff, and I want to get back on board with that, because the guys that have been supporting me as channel members and patrons have been steadfast. Basically, they've been well aware of kind of what's been going on, like personal life and all the rest of it. That has, I don't want to say gotten better, but it's peaked for the time being. So should be smooth sailing from that point onwards, but not to bring that down too much. As I was saying, looking forward to what you've got planned. You should give me a shout in October. No pressure. My birthday is Halloween. Your birthday's Halloween? That's amazing. That's all the excuse to. Mine's a month later, but that's all the excuse you need to celebrate. I love Halloween. I love everything about it. I love the colors. I love spooky shit. I just gourds. They're great. It's fantastic. And he was saying, all good things come without warning. Using that one in the future, I'm sure. But anyway, let's leave that there. I'll finish this up by saying, if anybody has any. This is going to be vague at the moment because I haven't decided quite how I'm going to do this for October yet. But I was thinking, what are people's horror whiskies or horror bottle? No, let's go with whiskies, like whiskey horror stories or horror bottles. I'm not sure yet if I want to do 4 supplementary videos about people's whiskey horror stories, like times that they've like gone out to drink whiskey and it's gone horrendously wrong, or shit whiskey. I don't know which one to do, to be honest, because I mean I've already done the Founders Reserve, so where do you go from there? And I've already done Hay Club as well. Well, I've done the club, and I've not done the club actually, so I could always do the big perfume bottle. Yeah, there's just a thought in my head at the moment. I basically want to do something Halloween themed, and I don't know. It's tricky to make the 2 work. Actually, I do have a bottle of Jura on the shelf. Anything Jura, horrible. Yeah, Highland Park was another one that's coming up recently. I mean, their cask strength, spectacular stuff. But yeah, it's one of those ones where like the branding's doing them a massive disservice. People, I think that the liquid is worse than it is inside because it looks so heavily marketed. Whereas actually Highland Park, it's still consistently good. It's maybe going through a bit of an angsty phase at the moment, but the liquid inside is still good. Whereas Jura, yes, that's a tricky one. That's one of the first ones where I've come across it, where it's like actually it's just the liquid they're making that's just not up to much. Know your audience. Know your audience. That's all I'll say to that one. Right, I should. Can I give a preview for next week? Yeah, so next week's release, for anyone who hasn't seen it already, i.e., if you're not a patron or anything. Although, if you do want to see it now, then you can like sign up for. You can start at £1 on Patreon, or I think it's like $2.99 on YouTube for the members, because there's like tier differences to make that a thing. King's Inch, that'll be coming up next week, and then that'll be finishing off with the Clydeside there. So that's exciting. I think I'm done with that for the time being, actually. There's another comment just came through. What about a few world whiskies? Do you know what? I was meant to get in touch with someone about Aber Falls. Again, I was on the VPub last Thursday, just gone, and I mentioned the Aber Falls came up as we're talking about sort of new budget whiskies, maybe not the best idea, but like pocket friendly, wallet friendly whiskey. And Aber Falls was one of the ones that came up, and I had listened to, I think it was Whiskey and Things that were talking about Aber Falls a few weeks ago before they went on hiatus. I think they're basically wrapped up, really, haven't they? They might pop back every once in a while, but just as I get into their podcast, they go, "Yeah, we're done." So, woo. Again, what was I saying? Yeah, so Falls, I was looking into, like, maybe getting the orange cask. Apparently there's been some mixed reviews, but I'm curious about that one. And there was a chappie who said get in touch with me. And long story short, his name, there's a few of them, so I didn't want to message the wrong person and be like, "Hey, you said you'd give me some whiskey," so I've just left it. I can get, it's very generous, when people do. I've actually been quite lucky. I don't want to say I've got whiskeys from most of the. I mean, a fair few YouTubers have sent me whiskey now, so maybe they're just trying to shut me up. I don't know, but. Robertson's of Pitlochry has a unique Lindores. Robertson's of Pitlochry. Oh, I should probably stop sharing this. Actually, I don't know why I'm still. Well, actually, it's setting. It's it's nice, isn't it? Loads available too. I'll have a look at that. It could be something worth having a little pop up. Hello, everyone who's just joined. Oh, I might as well keep this going for a full 30 minutes, I suppose, mightn't I? This was just going to be a short live just to kind of talk about the Lindores, if you're just joining us now. I did, basically. We got here a few more coming through. Sadly, so little available in Europe. That's going to be an ongoing problem. It was just today, actually, Cadenhead said that they're basically wrapping up the European operations. I wonder what that could have been caused by. Yeah. We're a big fan of shooting ourselves in the foot over on this damp little island of ours for some reason, but oh, it's the purple Yorkie with attitude, that whiskey. It really is. It's a lover. One from Al as well. Right, what do we got here? Aberfoyle's is actually a good price entry level. Nothing amazing, but decent. Different distilleries are doing different things. These guys are owned by same guys that have Krabby's, I'm pretty sure. Halewood. I think that's the parent company that has both of them. As long as they do better than Krabby's. I was at a Krabby's tasting a couple of months ago. I was actually meeting up with Will Pitchforth from Blavnik because I needed to not seal the deal on something exactly, but discuss a proposition with him as well. Been a busy boy. And we were at the Tipsy Midgie. It's a place that opened a few months ago. I feel like it might have been a year actually now since it opened. It's been open a little while now. Whisky Forager owns it. Is it the Whisky Forager? Pretty sure it is. Anyway, it's Colin who's got it, and we were having a Krabby's night. I didn't know, so I showed up, and they was like, "Hey, you here for the Krabby's tasting?" I was like, "I'm John. I'm here to meet Will." And they were like, "Oh yeah, we got you a table." I was like, "What have I walked into? What's going on right now?" Well, I thought this was going to be like maybe an hour. We have a whiskey, get talking, and then box it off. But nope. We're there for a good 3 hours, and they were talking about the yard head, which might get featured in the October videos because, oh lordy. But there were also some cask samples of some interesting stuff, and my abiding memory of that tasting was sulfur. And there's been discussion. One of my overriding memories of when people talk about a sulfuric whiskey is, it's not one that I've tried, but it was a Glen Scotia that Andy over at Maltbox tried, because I remember he had quite a visceral reaction to it. I think it was one of the special releases from a couple of years ago. I don't mind a sulfuric note in my whiskey. Like they're never quite into the what they used to be doing. But yeah, this was kind of open drain kind of sulfur. It wasn't. It was an off note more than anything else. And I remember drinking it and being like, "Ooh, ooh, interesting. This is interesting." There was some other stuff that was there that was perfectly lovely. But yeah, anything that went into a wine cask, something went wrong there. Something went horribly wrong. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. It's the taste of Leith, and it's not a compliment. Got a few. God, good. Irish. Are we talking about the Aber Falls? Like it's Welsh, the Aber Falls. Also, is it just me? Speaking of Irish, new Irish whiskey, Dingle. Is anyone else kind of? Is it just me that like saw it and then didn't realise it was a new distillery? Is it just me? Because like, I've seen it about, and I've just kind of assumed it's always been there, and I don't know why. The only reason I can think of is that I am woefully ignorant on Irish whiskey. I do have some in. Oh, should probably do a revisit of this at some point. The Stout Edition Jameson. I remember it being a lovely little nip, actually. Nothing too outrageous in terms of complexity, but lovely, solid little Irish there. Still get some of that in Europe. Had one of the samples of the 61.4 Lindores Abbey Cask, the exclusive cask, and it really didn't taste like it was strong compared to a straight up Kentucky at 61.6, which explodes your mouth. Giggity. Sorry, I can't stop it. It just happens. I tried Dingle in Ireland. Is that what they're calling it now? No, you see what I mean? I just won't stop. I haven't tried any Dingle, the whiskey. What's Aber Falls like? As I really like the Penderyn, but not yet tried any of the Aber Falls. Let's chat about Penderyn. I know I said I was going to wrap this up, but I mean, you've got me started now. Let's chat about Penderyn for a second. I like Penderyn. There, I've said it. I've tried 3 or 4. I've tried the Portwood. I've tried the what was the release that everyone hated that I absolutely loved? Was it a Sauterne? It was a sweet wine finish of some description. I cannot remember for the life of me. That's bad, isn't it? But yeah, I remember adoring it, properly adoring it, and being like, "That's it, the Madeira. Thank you, thank you, loved it." The Madeira finish, Penderyn, I absolutely bloody adored that one. I thought it was fucking fantastic. But yeah, no, a lot of people just didn't connect with it for whatever reason. Fair enough, different pleasings. But Dingle is producing some great stuff. I have heard nothing but good things about Dingle. I want to get a little more into my Irish. I mean, I'm well aware that like it was New Year's 2020. I said I want to do more wines on the channel. I did one wine and then never looked back. That bizarre video that I did, I think I must have been drunk when I did it, which isn't that surprising, but like what was it? It was pairing Kung Fu Girl with Chinese takeaway. And I was like, what was I thinking? I think it was because of something it said on the label. That it was a food pairing, and I just thought it was kind of laughable, and I thought I'd test it. What were we talking about? Yeah, Irish whiskey. I need to look more into it. Do you know, admittance time, I haven't had a redbreast yet. I know, what am I playing at? I mean, I don't expect I'll be having the gold spot anytime soon because that was a little bit rich. What am I talking about? Red spot. What am I talking about spots? I'm getting my breasts and my spots mixed up now, aren't I? Easy mistake to make, apparently. Yeah, I've never drank a redbreast. I was gonna, when I was visiting Phil over in Manchester, where we did a few recordings in the whiskey shop, he did have some of the, I think it was the Redbreast 27, but he was saving like the last bits for sharing with a friend of his, and I was like, I could not ask that of you. Don't worry about it. Like you two have a good time with that. But it was just like, I was like, this is probably the closest I'm ever going to get to that particular one. Liz saying that also a Penderyn fan. It's been a while since I did a Penderyn. Actually, have I brought a Penderyn to the channel? I get the feeling I haven't actually done a Penderyn on the channel. I've definitely drank Penderyn. I don't think I've actually covered it on the channel yet, have I? That's an outrageous oversight. Yeah, no, I should totally do that at some point. Wine? Why? Well, exactly. I mean, it's nearly 2 years later, and I'm still no more knowledgeable with wine. We're doing the reopening a site in Edinburgh at the moment, and my GM's looking after the wine side of things because I'm clueless. Wine just it bores me. The most I've ever drank wine was a boy had taken me back to his, and we were watching Queer Eye, which I hate, and he was like, "Do you want some wine?" And I said yes, which I don't like very much. And I was basically just waiting until, well, nature took its course, for want of a better way of putting it. But yeah, that's probably like the most wine I've deliberately drank. You should send me your address and I'll fire over some Irish dramas to you. Drams. Okay, not dramas. I just think that looks a little odd. Feel free to fire over some Irish drama as well. I might take you up on that. Do you know what? It would be good to do a swap, wouldn't it? I'd like to do that because, if nothing else, I am a firm believer in the whiskey is better when it's shared, and I do have a fair few bits and pieces. Honestly, you'd be doing me a favour if you took some off of my hands. Recently got in touch with Jeff over at Jeff Whiskey. It's not his full name, but we'll leave that. Because obviously he'd been suffering from I said suffering, he had an attack of Bell's palsy, and I was like, I'd like to send you something over, just to help you get by. And he graciously refused 3 times. So he is not one for charity. I did literally even say to him, like, you'd really be doing me a favor if you took some of this off my hands, to be completely honest. Maybe I didn't word that the best way, but yeah, I'm always up for doing a swap. I do still have some. I've got some fun stuff. I'm sure we can share. Are there some whiskey finished wines, right? There's cask aged wines. I don't know if there's actually. I'm not sure about that. There's there's whiskey finishes with most things, to be fair. There's whiskey finished cider, Fistley Cross being a much lauded, deservedly so, example of that. Assured in Glenmorangie casks, delicious stuff, by the way. There's some whiskey barrel finished rums, like what's it called? My fellow loves it. It's I want to say hacienda, but that's not quite right. It's got like a big blue wax seal on it, and it's hash something or other. I can see the bloody label. It just doesn't matter. There are cask aged rums and stuff. Can somebody else help out with that one? Actually, is there a whiskey aged wine? Because I'm not actually all that certain. As for new distilleries, Nucnian and Isla Rasse are ones to look out for, as well as Loch Lee. I have both. I've got some Nucnian over that way, and Rasse is on the run somewhere. It'll be on that shelf somewhere, I would imagine. Yeah, completely agree with that. Although, I will say, actually, I'm not the biggest fan of the Nucnian. My favourite thing about the Nucnian is the bottle. It's a little too delicate for me. I just don't find that there's a huge amount going on with Nucnian. Yeah, I like it, but it's not. I look at it and I'm like, do I want one of those? And I'm like, I want something else. That's my issue with that one. There's always something else on the shelf that I'm like, I'd rather have that. Yeah. All have made superb drams, and Nucnian is the first of many 100% renewable distillers. See, this is important. And actually, this was a conversation that came up again when we were at Tom and Tal, talking about, because often they're quite remote, so they have to sort of burn a lot of their own fuel, and they're going over to greener ways of burning fuel, basically. They're trying to get it so that, it's carbon neutral, basically. And I can't for the life of me remember how the hell they're doing this. But basically, they're going away from, burning, I think they were still burning a degree of coal and stuff like that. Is that right? Anyway, they were talking about like how they're investing more in like green technologies and stuff, and we had a brief chat about how there's more conversation about that, particularly with like Nutnian, and that was actually the distillery that got brought up. And we did sort of make the point that most distilleries are doing that because A, it makes more sense in terms of an efficiency side of things, and B, in a lot of cases, it's more cost effective to go green in the process because you do get certain benefits. Not as many as maybe you should, but yeah. So they're certainly forging the way with that. They're doing a lot of good in the world of whiskey. Actually, Nignians. I've got a lot of time for them. I've got blues. Oh my, blue star, sure, and some Limonada. Who is that? I'm sorry. I'm really showing my ignorance right now, aren't I? Fascinating. I've got Melicorn. I mean, to be fair, I do have. I mean, that's probably my crowning one at the moment, the tequila cafe. Although I do still have some. It means to do a review of this for a while because I've had the bottle for I want to say 8 months now. Actually, I've had it a while. That came round fast. But I've got some. It's not that exciting now. I'm thinking of it, but I do have some Glenmorangie Signet. It's never a bottle that I would buy myself because it's fucking expensive. I do like the liquid. Fucking expensive. And there's always just better liquid out there for the price point. But if I ever get broken into, at least I can batter someone to death with a lid, so that's something. And we do have an answer about the wine. Jacob's Creek Double Barrel Matured Shiraz, 75% apparently has been matured in a whiskey barrel. Okay, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, I'm not much of a wine. I mean, I've gone over this already. And when I do drink wine, I would always pick like a red over a white. That said, I did try an oaked Chardonnay a few years ago, and it was delicious. Now, I don't know if I found it was delicious because it was delicious, or delicious because it was fucking expensive. It was like like a £150 bottle or something like that. I'm actually doing a wine tasting. I'm not hosting a wine tasting. I'm going to be going to a wine tasting next week because the company that we are jumping in bed with for allocation of wines, they're organising I think it's a trade show that I've been invited to as opposed to something they're doing just for us. And the last time I went to one of those, it was back when I was working at the Cafe Roll. It was in Glasgow. None of this has anything to do with whiskey anymore, does it? I'm just talking now. But and it was, I don't even think it was with any particular purpose. We just had an invitation to go to what was effectively just kind of a piss up, basically. And I was going along, and I was with the other assistant manager, and he was really nervous about going because he did not want to. It's not that he didn't want to be there; he was nervous about being there. And then once he got there, he was like life and soul of the party. He was having a great time. But I remember we got to try Dom Perignon, which, I mean, it was. I enjoyed being able to say, "Hey, I'm drinking Dom Perignon." I wouldn't say I enjoyed the Dom Perignon itself. There was, in fact, I think it was a Laurent Perrier 2006 champagne. So it's still champagne, but I much preferred that. There were a couple of wines actually that I tried. I think I tried 2 Sauvignons back to back, and I was like, oh, they're completely different from each other. And I never took a note down of them. And I do always regret having not done that because they actually stood out to me as being like good wines. And I tried my first orange wine at that, and I came to the conclusion that they're not much. Yeah, don't really know why I talked about that. Recycled whiskey. Picture that. Well, I mean, I suppose a glass of water is recycled whiskey if you think hard enough. Right, cool. I've dragged on, haven't I? I'm hoping to do these more often because obviously I haven't done these for a while, and I'm pleasantly surprised actually there was an audience for this tonight because I was completely expecting to talk to a completely empty room. Partly because obviously I didn't announce it, but also just because historically on YouTube there's like peak and lull periods, sort of like end of summer going into autumn. It tends to be sort of like a people are doing other things. You know, they're getting the kids ready for school. You know, they're kind of bracing themselves for getting things ready for winter and stuff. You know, they're already buying the Christmas presents because Lord knows what's going to happen. You know, they've just got other things to do than, you know, watch silly little videos about a man who drinks whiskey on the internet. So I'm pleased to see that, you know, a few people have joined us tonight. It's been fun. Oh, we've got another one here. Technically, the Macallan 81 was recycled as the barrel was a throwaway and was brought back by the distillery. Ooh. That's a fair point, actually. Yeah. When there's it was a fun story of my GM has actually not quite the same thing, but he had a bottle of, it was a Gordon MacPhail bottling of something or other. I don't remember the exact distillery it was, but anyway, he sold it to Royal Mile Whiskies a few years ago, and then he started working at Whisky Barrel, and the exact bottle that he'd sold him was back on the shelf again. He was just like, hang on, I used to own this. What's going on? He always loves telling that story. So what is your go-to whiskey? Oh, it varies. I know, that's not helpful. Right, okay, so if I'm out and I'm at a pub or something, I'm like, right, cool, what are they going to have that's ubiquitous? It's a toss-up between an Ardbeg 10 and a Laphroaig 10. Now, I know some people are like, well, how's the Laphroaig compete with the Ardbeg? I've just got such a soft spot for classic, old-school, 40% chill filtered, coloured to fuck Laphroaig 10. I do. I have a soft spot for it. I like my peated whiskies, basically. I'm spoiled living in Edinburgh. Most pubs, in fact, it's difficult to think of one that has a truly god-awful whiskey selection. I mean, I'm not saying they're not out there. There will be. But it's rarer because you kind of have to have your shit together a little bit more in Edinburgh. Because if the tourists will put up with it, the locals definitely fucking won't. So, I mean, I'm extremely lucky to live like 15 minutes down the road from Diggers, or the Athletic Arms, which is sort of one of the, I would describe it as the pot still of Edinburgh. Now, in all the Aquavitae barflies, they're always in the pot still. That's why I can never bloody get in, because it's like a block booking. You can't step foot in there. But Diggers is sort of our equivalent in Edinburgh. It's a lovely place, you know. I dig it. But yeah, that's sort of my go-to peaty whiskey, basically. I should quickly sort of go through sort of what my plan is with these as well. Basically, I want to use these as like little snippet videos, kind of discuss more sort of the goings on in the drinks world in general, because there's some wacky stuff going on at the minute. There was something I saw on my feed today about Nigel Farage releasing his own gin. I don't know yet if I'm being trolled by that, because the world is a weird place now. The world's always been a weird place, but it's particularly, it's like Mr. Blobby wrote reality the last few years. It's truly, so I'd quite like to have a look at that and just be like, what is going on in the world? I would like to do a live stream of the centenary special of Doctor Who at some point, because I feel like the only way I'm going to get through that episode is by being drunk. Because I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and the last few years have been intolerably awful. And I know some people are like, oh, you know, you shouldn't shit on it. It's like, he's a talentless hack, and I stand by that point. And if that offends anyone, I'm sorry. I'm not even, do you know what? I'm not even fucking sorry. Yeah. Anyway, that's by the by, and also just not relevant. But yeah, I'd like to use these kind of like talking more about sort of, you know, even if it's just kind of like, if it's more just about kind of like, you know, what's Master Malt stocking today or stuff like that, you know, I'd like to do more kind of like, you know, up-to-date stuff, because this is easier to do. I mean, yeah, laziness is playing a part in this. Shock horror. But this is a little easier to do. Also, there's more interactivity, you know, it's actually nice to see, you know, people like chatting through it and stuff of that nature. I keep going off of topic, don't I? Do you know, this is going to end up being an hour, isn't it? I wasn't expecting this to go for an hour, but once you get, it's this weird thing about lives. Once you get to, oh, I get talking anyway. Just kind of keeps happening naturally. But yeah, I'd like to do another one of these. I might even do another one tomorrow yet. Who knows? Maybe I should actually like do an announcement about it. Also, seeing as this is live, should I just carry on calling them Live and Sipping? I was quite proud of that name because, you know, 90s kid. But I don't know. I seem to be one of the only people that appreciated the joke with that one. I did have a lot of people actually saying that it would be a good idea to call this John Thinks. Had a lot of people that were a big fan of that name, so I wanted to give that one a shout out right now and just be like, I liked it. Oh, we've had a few more. Do you have a preferred IB, as I'm off to the local IB festival, which is first of its kind here? I need to decide on my 20th present. Oh, there's so many good ones to choose from. I can talk about my first one that kind of like got on my radar, if that helps. It's going to be a surprise to a lot of people, and not a lot of people are going to agree with me that it's do you know, I'm not even going to say it's the best. Let's go with that. But I've had some good bottlings from them. I've had some rough ones as well, but I've had some good bottlings from them. Douglas Lang. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. I had a fucking lovely Glengoyne. It was an 8-year-old. Young Glengoyne. It's stunning stuff. Anyone who's had a teapot dram, I don't think needs to be told that, to be honest. They just knock it out of the park, the young stuff. I had a beautiful Auchentoshan 21-year-old. Again, one of those distilleries where I feel like I've discussed this time and time again with Auchentoshan. I love Auchentoshan. I hate official bottling Auchentoshans. And that's a weird statement. But I love the liquid Auchentoshan puts out before they lay their hands on it. Because every indie Auchentoshan I've had, whether it be 46%, whether it be cask strength, whether it be 21 years old, whether it be 10 years old, whether it be whatever, has been beautiful. It's very delicate and sweet. There's a little bit of spice to it. It's got a wonderful signature that I just know that I love about it. And it's fantastic liquid. And it's survived as a lowland for as long for being that high quality. And then they just fuck it. Because I've tried the Auchentoshan 12, I've tried the latest edition of the 3 wood, which is a similar colour to the Lindores that we're talking about now, actually, to bring it back to attempt to drag it back kicking and screaming to the topic. But that's not because it's active casks. That's all cosmetic. That's it's been given the Joan Rivers treatment, and you can tell. Is Joan Rivers dead? Is she? I always get her mixed up with other people. I think she's dead. I'm not googling that live right now. That's embarrassing. When did this start? Well, according to my clock, 53 minutes and 50 seconds ago. So yeah. I didn't announce it, soz. I'll put up a poster next time. But to be fair, I didn't even know that I was doing this until 10 minutes before. I'm spontaneous like that. I'll polish off what's in there. Just going to leave that there without comment, I think, because what more is there to say on that, really? This is what this live stream has become. Let's go back over to something. Oh, speaking of things that have died. Favorite Doctor Who? Whoa, hang on. I need clarification here. Are we talking favorite Doctor or favorite story or favorite era under a writer? Because I have answers for each, so I could go into that. But if you are still kicking around, then clarification, please, and I will be happy to answer. Doing great, no worries. Thank you very much. John Thinks, or John Sinks. This chair does have a loose leg, so it's entirely possible that will come to pass. Had a dram with the Auchentoshan 18. It's bloody good. I haven't. Do you know what? I haven't had the OB18, so it's entirely possible that there is one out there that I do like. But I've not been impressed so far. Whereas I've just had such a yin and yang reaction between IB and OB. Some distilleries out there that's just a thing, to be fair. But yeah, no, it's. Oh, we might need to give that one a go. I was at the let's talk about my day. Why not? During lunch break, I was in the Johnny Walker, Princess Street. First time going in. We're actually wanting to go have a look. Basically, we were going to steal some ideas from their menu, but we couldn't get upstairs because they had like a tour or something going on. And to say that we were swarmed by the sales staff would be an understatement. We got asked if there was anything we needed about 6 times in the space of 5 minutes. It was terrifying, to be completely honest. The first couple of times, we're like, oh, it's quite attentive. And then the third time, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little cool. And then, yeah, it just kept happening. We're like, we're fine. It's fine, please. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Task Great Team. That's where I was going with this. My boss who was with, going around with, was talking about the Task Great Team and how much it's jumped in price. Because he clocked it and I was like, was that? It was the Lagavulin 16 was the other one we were talking about as well. And I was like, did these used to be this much? And I was like, no, that's a recent development. They very much, they've got hefty competition at that, just at the price point, you know? Because not even ignoring the fact that they are as old as they are, you know, and maybe they do have some stock shortages. I don't know. I don't work for them. But like, you know, a 16-year-old, it's a good 16-year-old, you know, but part of the reason why Lagavulin 16 was as ubiquitous as it was because it was a 16-year-old at an affordable price point. It no longer is that. Yeah, same with the Task Great Team as well. You know, they've really jumped the price up on that. It's almost as if the 18 is paying for the label redesign, or trying to in and of itself. But yeah, we move on. We move on from these whiskies. It's a shame. It is a shame. But you know, there's obviously a market for these ludicrous prices, but it's just, I don't think it's going to be much of a domestic market anymore. Because again, for the price that you can get for that, you can get some bloody good liquid. You know, it can be a Glentoret 12-year-old, for example. You know, it's younger, but it's a cracking whiskey. You know, and you don't pay. I think, does that come at about half the price now? It's about 104. Actually, no, it's more than that, isn't it? The Task Great 18. Is it 140? I get the feeling it's gone. It's not. Cause I want to say it was 180 on the shelf, but I don't know if that's a hyperinflated Johnny Walker Princess Street price. Because the flora and fauna prices seem to be about right, but the rest seemed a little skew-off. Actually, no, that will be inflated because their Johnny Walker Green label was like £55 or something ludicrous like that. And I was like, oh, it's always a nice look to be scalping tourists, but yeah, interesting times. Yeah, there's better liquids out there for the money that you pay, or you know, less in a lot of cases. There are a number of distilleries that ruin their product when they bottle their product, Diageo being the main culprits. Diageo get a lot of shit, and I'm part of the problem with that one, to be completely honest with you. And we just talked about, you know, Diageo putting up the prices and scalping people, and their big old vanity project with the Johnny Walker project. And also how, like, you know, 4 of the distilleries apparently can't survive on their own legs, and now they have to be part of the Johnny Walker experience instead. Like Kalila was the last one to be rebranded. Was Kalila doing that badly? I thought Kalila was quite well respected. I mean, Ralphie bottled a Kalila not so long ago. I know because I've got some. But that's rainy day whiskey, so you know, don't beg me to open it. I don't think I need to bother, to be fair. It's going to be damn tasty, isn't it? But yeah, one day I will get that opened if it's emergency whiskey, that one. They do a lot of harm. They do a lot of good. You know, they're a necessary evil. Their main driving factor is obviously commercial interest. You know, it's no secret that is their main drive. They have a lot of very powerful brands behind them. They do occasionally get it right. You know, I'll be the first to say, you know, they do occasionally get it right. It almost feels like they accidentally stumble upon greatness rather than it being a deliberate thing. But you know, periodically they have gotten things right. I mean, the green label, it ran away with the blend category for the Oswars last year. You know, up against, was it 3 Compass Box bottlings? I think it was 3. So I mean, you know, that's no mean feat, because I mean, folks like their Compass Box, you know. I don't think there's any question that Campbelltown Lock is going to run away with that one this year. I'd be surprised if it didn't. But yeah, I suspect that's kind of how that one's going. If I'm going to put in a bet early, that would probably be where my money goes on that one. Yeah, Diageo, interesting, but they have more and more competition, but they're also very powerful. So pour and sip always gives some interesting drams. I'm sure I've talked about this already. I mean, I use a myriad of sources. So we've got the perfect measure here from Whisky Exchange. I don't know why I couldn't remember what they were called there. And also we've got the Sample Guys. They started up as a lockdown project. It's a father and son team, I believe. We actually had the guy who founded it in Uskebe for dinner. I didn't realize who he was at the time, so I served his table, and then afterwards, photos of everything that I'd done came up on the Sample Guys page, and I was like, hang about. And then I was kind of like, oh, glad you had a nice time. It's probably for the best that I didn't know who he was, really, because I just, you know, just talk shite, you know, whereas, like, you know, sometimes you're kind of like, oh, this is an important person, you know, you get a bit stiff. I'll rephrase that. You get a bit formal. Depends who they are, to be fair, you know. I mean, you know, I've got bills to pay, so maybe I will for the right pay. But yeah, you don't relax so much, and that can translate sometimes to a less interesting experience. I found, but yeah, I've often found where, like, you know, when it's revealed to me afterwards that somebody's like a, you know, oh, I'm the master distiller of wherever, or, you know, we work for, I had like a couple of distillers in from North British. I'm not saying North British is, you know, it's a workhorse distiller. I mean, it's down the road from me, you know, it's a big dirty grain distillery, but yeah, I prefer it when they're just, you know, people that are walking off the street, basically, you know, and I don't know that they're the brand. I mean, you get it with brand reps, you know, they normally come in with, like, you know, suit and tie, and they've got an air of just, you know, pompous nonsense about them sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you just got like salt of the earth fellas that, you know, generally just want a drink, and then you've got salesmen coming in. So it's quite a mix. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't know who he was, basically, because I would hope he had a better night from him, to be honest. I've discovered how New Oak and Kentucky whiskies always ends up with the mouth bomb early on, e.g. 4-year-old. Interesting. Okay. Again, I don't want to step on like Phil Dwyer's toes too much with this one, but like American whiskey, it's not been my it's not my go-to, really. I mean, you know, I've tried some American whiskeys. I like what I've tried. You know, I've got a fair bit of time for bullet bourbon. You know, it's a very affordable whiskey. Not everyone's into it, but I've got time for it. You know, I don't mind it. Wild Turkey. Pleasantly surprised by that. To try a Jack Daniel's single barrel a few years ago. That was quite nice. No, it was a year ago. Yeah, because it was when I was in Manchester. Yeah, that's that. I don't know what the point to that. It's 140 a lot. It's 140 quid. So I mean, we're going back to the Tasker 18, aren't we? What was the original price for it? It was like 85 or something like that. I think it originally retailed for. I think it might have been a little bit more. I think it might have been edging towards 100 already. But yeah, it's a fair increase. I mean, everything's going up, so, you know, yay. I mean, the price of glass is going up. You know, a lot of distilleries get their glass from European sources, so automatically that's shortages. Cost of making it goes up. It's going to be an interesting time. There's a reason why London Whiskey, London Whiskey, they changed the bottle, because they had those big, chunky, thick, heavy London Liquor Company. That's where I'm stumbling towards, isn't it? And they changed to much more conventional glass, just because it's cheaper to make, cheaper to transport, and they were very upfront about that. You know, they're passing the savings over quite substantially, actually. So it goes to show how much the bottle makes a difference. I do wonder if the upcoming recession will crash whiskey prices. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? Luxuriances tend... It varies. Super luxuriances tend to do quite well. You know, so I think like the big brands that have like, you know, money squirreled away, they've got enough there to survive. It's your smaller ones, or like, you know, your budding distilleries that, you know, just kind of getting onto their feet just now. That could be problematic, because obviously there's costs involved in glass, in manufacturing, in the energy to produce. You know, you need to produce heat to make whiskey. So I'd imagine a fair few distilleries are trying to get as much made now before the prices go astronomical. I mean, they've already jumped up. You know, they're planning on jumping it up again and then up again. You know, it's fascinating times. I do hope that the Don't Pay campaign works, to be honest, because someone's got to give. Someone's got to give on that. I never got an answer back to this, so I'm going to assume that he's left us. So I'm just going to answer. My favorite Doctor is the 12th. I loved Peter Capaldi's take on Doctor Who, although I will say his title sequence is my least favorite, because I don't like that squeaky hamster music. The title sequence itself is fine, actually. I like the title sequence, but I don't like the music. That like weird high-pitched hamster noise that it's making. Weird. Back to it then. Be pleased you don't have to buy in Europe. Well, yeah, I've been well aware that, you know, the prices have been crazy for some time over there. Although Roy mentioned quite recently about, you know, buy local where you can. He was talking about some Spanish blends over there that are quite interesting, as he was struggling to do a video in front of a recycling bin, or a bottle bank, as we would have called it back in the olden days. God, I sound old, don't I? Right, this is. I planned on boxing this off after half an hour, and obviously we've doubled our time on that one. So I'm gonna, because we stopped talking about Lindores a little while ago now, didn't we? But we just kind of had a little bit of a conversation. I'm glad to see that a fair few folk were excited to see this was happening. So thank you very much. Thank you for making me feel wanted. This has been fun. I will try and do a couple more of these in the not too distant future. I might be fun to do the Nigel Farage thing tomorrow. I'll do a bit of digging, see if I can find anything. If it is legit, I'll maybe do a live on that tomorrow, just to quickly talk about it, and we can discuss any other business as and when. One last comment was coming in. Oh no, a couple. Apparently Canada has super high taxes on alcohol, which is even more expensive than in America. Yeah. Canada and Scotland have a lot in common. A critical eye on the alcohol industry in general being one of them, but they go about it in very different ways. Yes, I heard. And thanks for the Doctor Who answer. You are welcome. You are welcome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what Russell T Davies is going to do again. Mad times. Right. I'm going to close it off here. Hopefully we can get to like an hour and 10. I think it's going to make it. Thank you everyone for joining in with this. I hope this was educational. If you have any questions or topics or anything else that you would like to see me discuss, do feel free to visit back in the live afterwards. That one's for tomorrow, because I need to finish. I need to scream at that one. I don't know if I need to scream or laugh. Maybe both. Maybe scream and laughing will be what I'll do to that one. But we'll maybe get into that tomorrow. If I do indeed do one of these, I might be too knackered. I don't know. I'll do an announcement. But if you have any other topic suggestions for stuff you'd like me to do on these, then please do feel free to comment in the the commenty thing and let me know. But for now, no. For now, though, I'm going to box this off. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I hope this was an interesting little foray into the deepest, darkest recess of Lindores' deepest, darkest whiskey. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out with in the not too distant future. And we'll get another one of these done soon. I don't know how you end this, so I'm just going to say bye.